The absolute most tone deaf you could ever be is listening to reporters and your consumers tell you one specific thing and do whatever the hell you want. Well, that's exactly what Samsung did this year at CES 2025 with the Samsung S90F or 95F, where they rolled out their matte finish screen that virtually nobody liked, that was a total contrast killer, and brought it back again on the S95F, all while hiding behind the fact that we get 4,000 nits of brightness, but on a 3% window. Because full screen, it's still going to be about 300 to 400 nits, which will give them the 400 they're claiming. At the end of the day, though, that's still not an impressive figure, and it is something that it kind of puts a sour taste in your mouth, because you're tone deaf on Dolby Vision, you're tone deaf now on the anti-glare finish that nobody likes. They used to have a technology called triple black. People liked that. I don't know why they won't just make like a quadruple black and call it a day. Why give us something we don't want? Well, simple. Samsung isn't a consumer-friendly brand. I have seen it and been seeing it with their updates over the last great many of years. And now with this, it's just screaming tone deaf, honestly. Because everybody wants the next innovation, the latest and the greatest, but if you're really going to sit here and hunker down on, we want our most expensive TVs to look cheap, like IPS monitors with matte finish screens, and pretend like somehow our matte finish is better than that matte finish, it's ridiculous. We know that it scatters light across the entire screen, which makes the screen look worse than just a little small highlight in a section, right? And this is the problem myself and a lot of other people that have realized this come to figure out. Now, another thing that makes Samsung very tone deaf is, in addition to just having it on the Samsung F95F, they sent a really big message of we don't care by rolling it out onto their QLED line. So now this ugly matte finish is going to be on their most flagship TV there too, which is a spit in the face of everybody who has been trying to communicate we don't want that. And now, again, there are some people, like I know Caleb Dennison over at Digital Trends loves the matte finish screen, or is at least rocking on their team. I am not. And I think the reason for that is very sound. When you have something that is a matte finish, it isn't a clear material, and that lack of clarity is seen in your content. And so you can expect that again on the S95F, where there's just going to be a lack of clarity. As bright as they can make it, there's a clarity issue from the perspective of if it didn't do that, and if they would have given us the glossy material with the anti-glare coating, we would have been fine and had beautiful image quality. So now we have to look to something like the S90F and hope that the brightness is something comparable to what we got last year, or at least maybe S95C territory. We'd have to hope for that. This is a problem because you shouldn't have to pick and choose like that. They should keep that matte finish crap on things like gallery TVs and like maybe TVs that go outside. Personal gripe and opinion. But aside from that, you notice you're really getting spat upon here because the design did not change at all. It is the exact TV chassis, the exact speaker look. Everything is exactly the same. It's indistinguishable, so it will be very easy to buy the wrong TV. You can't tell a 95D apart from a 95F because they are virtually the same, give or take 1,000 nits on a 3% window. Which leads me to my other thing. They talk about the 4,000 nits, but it's not across everything, and in very specific scenarios can you do that. Now, granted, that's usually the case with most TVs. It's just the ability to technically hit it, but they don't talk about how long the highlight is sustained for or the peak brightness is sustained for. They also don't talk about if there's going to be global dimming that really affects the television in a lot of different examples, but we can tell that some form of ABL or automatic brightness limiting will be there because it full screen only gets to 400 nits. That's not a lot. Now, if you don't know what a nit is and all this stuff in English, just translation, it's just a little bit brighter than last year by 1,000 nits, which is great and everything, but they're not fixing the core problems of clarity, which will affect contrast, which means the whole picture quality will likely lose if Sony goes the route of a Sony QD-OLED. That would be wonderful, fantastic. I think we would need that. Hopefully something that could be maybe a little bit more of an improvement, obviously, than what we had on the A95L. That would be more than welcome, but again, only time will tell. I think Samsung's approach is really just giving you a stopgap television. They are out of ideas, in my personal opinion. I know they talk about inkjet printing. I know they talk about more efficient quantum dots. They say this shit every year. But honestly speaking, we're already in a good place with QD-OLED. Making it brighter is great, but the problem that we have on something like, let's say, the S95D is not brightness. It's plenty bright, almost too bright in some scenarios. The problem is clarity and the smart way you use your brightness. It's just global brightness for the sake of brightness. Now, there are some other companies this year that did address that exact claim, which we will be talking about in future videos. But do you like Samsung going back to the ugly, controversial anti-glare film? If yes, let me know why, and if not, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.